My vet and 3 others in Michigan will help any cat that comes in. Dr. Jan Pol was a famous vet and TV star who helped animals and won people's hearts all over the world. While being nice and smart, Dr. Pol has also made a lot of money from his clinic and TV work. He was good at what he did, but what he left behind hurt his family a lot. In addition to being grateful, his family was moved to tears when they learned about his will. People were very moved by what Dr. Pol left behind. Let's learn about the great things Dr. Pol did. A good number of lines were there. Working hard built Dr. Pol's life. The story of Dr. Jan Pol is about working hard and holding on to family values. He grew up in the Netherlands on a small farm. As a kid, he worked and took care of animals. He wanted to be a doctor because of these things. Upon his arrival in the US, he did not possess much, but he began again with Diane by his side. They opened Pol Veterinary Services in 1981 in a small town in Michigan. They started out with a small office in their home. While Diane worked in the office, Dr. Pol took care of the animals and often went far to help farmers in the area. He was known for more than just helping animals. The way he treated people was nice. The farmers knew they could count on him because he always showed up even when the work was tough, or outside it was bad. The center didn't get results right away. It took years of hard work and pain to earn the community's trust. Rich people weren't important to Dr. Pol. He made sure animals got the care they needed by working hard. People knew what he stood for because of how simple he lived. Even as he became more popular, he never tried to live a fancy life. See what happens when this quiet life becomes well known all of a sudden. When National Geographic Wild first showed The Amazing Dr. Pol in 2011, things at the center changed. Many viewers enjoyed the show as it depicted both the good and bad sides of being a country vet. Lots of people liked how Dr. Pol never lost his cool and always laughed, even when things were bad. Though he became well known and wealthy, his life didn't change much. He did not spend the money on himself, but instead gave it back to the center and the people who live in his area. Dr. Pol has made it clear that he loves his family through his work. We killed a bat, and I think all of these cows died when lightning struck the barn. Being polite and appreciating hard work are things that he and Diane taught their 3 children, Charles, Kathy, and Diane Jr. A big part of Dr. Pol's impact is Charles, who ran the show as its executive director. As they worked together, they became closer. To story of the family to more people. But it hasn't been easy the whole time. In 2019, the shocking death of their son Adam hurt the Pol family very much. They were sad when Adam died, but it brought them closer together and helped them remember what's important in life, their promise to love each other and help others. When you see how Dr. Pol plans to spend his money to help his family in the future, you'll be shocked. No matter how hard things got, Dr. Pol always loved animals and worked hard. Although the show is still going strong, he still makes time to see his guests. His life hasn't changed because he's famous. He frequently says that helping animals and people in his community make him the happiest. From living on a small farm in the Netherlands to being a famous TV host all over the world, Dr. Pol did a lot of things. More amazing is how he's used his success to help people at work, with his family, and in his neighborhood. Everyone Dr. Pol has helped will always remember him. Viewers can see how this memory still affects his family's future, turning his fame into a legacy. The Amazing Dr. Pol became a hit on Nat Geo World, which changed the Pol family's life in ways they never thought possible. In the middle of nowhere in Michigan, a small veterinary center became famous all over the world. Many people saw how Dr. Pol did veterinary care in the real world with a focus on the pros and cons of working with animals on farms. Because Dr. Pol was committed and honest, he could connect with people all over the world. But the Pol family didn't let being famous bother them. A lot of doors were opened for me. They instead tried to be real and use their fame to show people how important it is to care for animals. It was Dr. Pol's hope that the show would help small veterinary clinics in the country that don't get much notice. It wasn't important to him not to be on TV. To show how much he cared about animals and worked, he did it. The following event displays how much the Pol family values important issues. The show could not have happened without Dr. Pol's son Charles acting in it. Once Charles got out of college, he wanted to show off his dad's great work. He talked about the idea of a reality show because he thought people would be interested in how hard his family works and tell their story. What he said was true. You can thank Charles for helping the show do well by watching or working behind the scenes. That being said, Dr. Pol ensured that the show did not alter his lifestyle. His team could give better care because he didn't spend the money on himself. Instead, he improved his center with it. The famous and wealthy Pol family decided to use their power to make things better. Unfortunately, the story has some rough spots. Witness some of the issues they had to handle by watching. It was hard to be well known. Some people in the medical field told Dr. Pol that his ways were too old-fashioned and told him so. After these complaints, he got into a few legal battles. One of the claims was that he wasn't following modern veterinary standards. Everything went wrong, but Dr. Pol stuck to the ways he had been using for decades that worked. He said that his skills and accomplishments were enough to speak for themselves. It was his patients and friends who stuck with him and helped him. It shows a lot about Dr. Pol's character that he can handle criticism and still focus on his goals. Although bad things happened, they didn't stop him or make the work he loved less enjoyable. He used the attention to stress how important it is for people in rural places to be able to get cheap and easy veterinary care. Keep an eye out for now. Check out how the Pol family turned bad times into good ones. Along with problems at work, the Pols also lost loved ones, which made them stronger. When Adam, their grandson, died in a terrible accident, it broke their hearts. The sadness was too much to bear. Families got stronger because of it. They supported each other and were comforted by the memories they shared and their purposeful decision to keep living. After Adam died, he told them to enjoy every day and always be there for each other. Mrs. Pol, Dr. Pol's wife, has always been by his side. Diane runs the company's business side and Dr. Pol takes care of the animals. That way her husband and the rest of the team can do what they do best, run the business. Families are stronger because Diane is always there for them. Getting attention helps them handle life's ups and downs. An amazing number of people are still moved by this family. The coolest thing about Dr. Pol is that he uses his fame to help other people. His generosity toward community groups, support for educational programs, and encouragement for young people to consider becoming vets have been shown over the years. He also believes that a person's success lies in how they use their wealth to assist others. Also, Charles has used the show to share good ideas, just like his father did. It's not all about getting something for yourself when you're famous or rich. Additionally, they can be employed to enhance the entire world. This family's story isn't just about a popular TV show or a pet clinic. They have to stay true to what they believe. As their lives change, their story shows us that hard work, modesty, and love for family can last longer than fame. Watch to learn what makes the story of this family so special. The amazing rise of Dr. Pol to fame and success as a doctor is interesting, but his story is really about his family. Although the Pol family has had a rough time, they have stuck together and counted on each other to get through it. They made one of the hardest decisions of their lives by planning for a life without Dr. Pol. This brought them closer together. People keep asking Dr. Pol about what he left behind as he works. He definitely made a difference in animal care and in small towns. While he is gone, his family also has to face the fact that they will eventually have to live without him. Giving someone a business isn't the only problem here. It means sticking to the values, dedication, and work ethic that have helped a lot of people over the years. The things the family is doing to get ready might surprise you. Keep an eye out for now. Choice to let Charles work in the family business was one of the first steps. Charles is a big part of making sure that the family history goes on and also helped bring the amazing Dr. Pol to life. Because he is so good with people, Charles is not a doctor but is very important to their business. The stories, lessons, and ideas that Dr. Pol taught will live on for future generations through his work. It's not just about Charles, mind you. By hiring young vets to work in their clinic, Dr. Pol and Diane have also helped them learn skills that aren't used as much in modern veterinary practices. They have learned not only medicine, but also how to think in the kind of loving and helpful way that Dr. Pol is known for. The goal of this training program is to help others and set the stage for the future. What they teach the next generation will move you. Everything is centered around Jan Pol, the one who leads and holds the family together. Although Dr. Pol is taking care of his patients and the clinic, Diane makes sure that the family stays in touch and that business runs easily. Viewers of the show don't always see what she does behind the scenes, but her quiet strength is what keeps everything going. Although the show is over, Diane's part is even more important as the family gets ready for real life. Pol family members stay close to each other through simple traditions. They've stayed true to their roots even though they're well known. They spend a lot of time together as a family in the small town where it all began. They have stayed close, almost like twins, because they want to stay humble. But it's also won them friends who value being real. Family ties are important, but sometimes tough conversations are needed. The family has had a public conversation about what will happen if Dr. Pol decides to quit or if something comes up that changes everything. These talks are necessary even if they are tough. Always, Dr. Pol believed that issues should be dealt with directly. The same thing happens this time. They have worked together to protect the business, the show, and the morals of the family. Some sad things have happened during this. It's hard for Dr. Pol to think about stepping back because he loves his job and is close with his patients. Family members like Diane, Charles, and the rest of his siblings had to tell him that his work would continue to affect people after he is gone. Many people will be moved by Pol's lessons and the memories he made for a long time to come. In the end, what will happen when he steps back? Keep watching and listening. Additionally, outside forces are also working on the Pol family. Fans, not just critics, have paid more attention to the show because it is so famous. Fans have their own ideas about what the future should be like. A lot of people would naturally want Charles to take over fully. People who watch might think that the clinic needs to hire more vets to do Dr. Pol's job. People in general don't know as much about these issues as the Pols do, so it looks like they plan to make these decisions as a family based on their own views rather than what common people think. They've always been looking at the animals. They depend on others. What drove Dr. Pol was his love for his patients, and it looks like this will continue in his family, whether it's through Charles' work in the media, the vets they teach, or the stories people in the community share. There's more to the Pol family's departure than just fame and money. Find out how this family handles the issues that are coming up by watching. Surprisingly, sharing a goal and having to deal with loss. It's hard to think about losing a loved one, but the Pol family has stayed open-minded and strong about it. They have lost family members and pets they loved over the years. These deaths show them how short life is. It's the decisions they make about the future that will ensure their reputation lives on. Considering taking a break from his work makes Dr. Pol feel many unique emotions. Caring for animals and talking to people in his neighborhood are his favorite things to do all day. It's not just a place to work anymore. The work he has done all his life is now visible. He really loves this, but he knows it won't last. Planning for the times he won't be able to do the things he loves has been made easier by his family. Most difficult things have been keeping the office open. When you work as a vet in the country, it's already hard. We are losing vets, and even fewer are willing to work in small towns. To keep their clinic a shining example for people in rural areas, Dr. Pol and Diane have taught new vets how to care for animals in a caring and practical way. Keep an eye out for now. Watch what they teach these young workers. They have thought about how to keep their work pure for a long time. Always count on Dr. Pol to be active and handle each case with care and determination. The way he thinks has been passed down to his family and the people he coach. He makes sure that every animal gets the best care, even if the case seems small or unimportant. That's not all Dr. Pol leaves behind when he helps young vets and gives money to their office. He's like a wave of care and kindness. Diane has done a lot to help with the money side of their legacy, but Dr. Pol is mostly worried about the clinic. She has overseen the family's funds for many years, laying a solid foundation for the future. Her careful planning allowed them to make investments that will benefit both their family and the community as a whole. There have been some hard choices, though. The Pol family has to make hard decisions all the time, and taking care of the show is one of them. Millions of people all over the world have seen their story because of how great Dr. Pol is. What's good and bad about the show are mixing. The Hart family always wonders if the show should go on without Dr. Pol and looks to the future. Example, a person like Charles. Someone who has helped the show do well would have mixed feelings about where it's going. To some, it would be a way for him to carry on his father's work. He would worry, though, about how the show would be different without his crazy dad. It would be tough for everyone in the family to explain what the show means to them and how it fits into their future plans. Additionally, it looked the same as before. It's relaxing. We are looking forward to seeing what decision they make. In times of trouble, the Pol family has found comfort in the values they all hold. Their promise to stay together, their faith, and their love for animals have been what have led them. Thoughts like these have helped them stay together and make tough decisions when things aren't clear. An important part of their story is how they've included the whole family in their plans. Going to Kathy from Charles. As well as the grandparents and parents, everyone in the Pol family has helped shape the family ritual. Beyond Dr. Pol's work, our family respects his life's work by working together. Also, the Pol family has done things for their neighborhood. This famous person uses their fame to support issues that are important to them. To do this, they attend events in their neighborhood, give money to good causes, or just hang out with their friends. To everyone's surprise, their success isn't just about them. A lot of the time, Dr. Pol says that his family, not the practice or the show, is the most important thing in his life. For him, the best part of life was seeing his children and grandkids follow his lead. He doesn't want to leave his work behind, but he is glad to know that his family will do it with the same love and care. Being ready, thinking, and liking each other are important parts of the Pol family story. They have talked about and made tough choices, but they have stuck to what's important to them. What will make them feel the most is still to come on their trip. Keep an eye out for now. Dr. Pol's impact is more than just a successful vet office or a popular TV show when he thinks about the future. Strengthen yourself, do your best, and care about people and animals. That is what we can learn from his life. Although he's taking a break from his regular work, he's not giving up on what he's built. As a result, the people he influenced will carry on the values he fought for. It's been hard for Charles and Diane Pol to deal with this change. They have seen the clinic grow from a small business in a small town to a big deal all over the world. The many people Dr. Pol has helped will be his permanent legacy, not the clinic or the show. His work has made many of his fans want to follow their own dreams. It has also made some of them love animals in a way they didn't know they did. The Pol family values these ties and uses them to remember why they do what they do. After a busy few months, Dr. Pol is glad to know that his family will keep the clinic running and do what it's supposed to do. There have been funny times, hard times, and happy times on their journey together, and they're ready to take those memories with them into the future. Fans think that Dr. Pol's story shows how important it is to be kind and keep going even when things get hard. The skills he taught will continue to inspire people for years to come, even if he isn't as well known then. What do you think about the vast wealth and luck? Dr. Pol is scheduled to go. Thoughts on his family's feelings toward his journey and what he has done. Comment below with what you think. Don't forget to like, share, and follow to see more. Additionally, click on the following movie. We hope you enjoy it.